How to build a drop shipping brand in this unique industry. Imagine launching a premium cannabis brand without having to touch any plants or deal with any licenses. That's the power of drop shipping. Understand that at least 50% fail because they don't have the proper foundation in place. So today I'll be going over how to build a profitable drop shipping flower brand so you make money instead of losing hundreds of thousands of dollars. If you don't know me yet, I'm Hi Chris. I've been in this wholesale industry since 2004. That's over 20 years. I also had one of the earliest state distribution licenses since back in 2018 here in California. In addition to that, I built and sold a licensed cultivation facility that I ramped from $0 up to $3 million in the course of 3 years. After selling that successfully, I then launched my brand Zotix in 2022. And Zotix has been in over 100 licensed retail stores in California. I then followed it up with my second brand, Lowski, offering fire indoor for low prices. And I launched that in 2024. Today, I teach cannabis entrepreneurs how to hit $100,000 months in revenue without owning any licenses. We go over how to scale your brands every day on my private free school community. The link's in the bio. I also have a one-on-one guidance program for entrepreneurs in this industry to walk you through getting your brand from the illegal side over to the licensed side so you can do both profitably and have some longevity to your brands for years to come. Step one is to understand the legal framework. And this is where compliance comes in. So the way this strategy works is to partner with proper licensed supply chain partners. And they're gonna handle all the plant touching operations. And this includes the licensing, the compliance, the inspections, and most importantly, the 280E. Since they're the plant touching entity, they're the ones subject to the 280E. As the brand, you're just providing marketing, branding, and potentially sales. And none of these components touch the plant. So technically, a good accountant is going to be able to explain that the 280E law does not apply to just the marketing side. If you are planning to get a license, in my opinion, based on my experience in California, the distribution license is the most flexible, and it's going to be a low cost of entry. You can have a small space with just some security measures in place, pass your inspections, get your permit. And then that license, the distribution license, not only is going to allow you to do bulk sales as well as transportation, but it's also going to allow you to get your products to the retail stores for you. And if owning a license isn't up your alley right now, which I suggest, especially for new brands, you don't want to own any licenses in the beginning. You want to get your brand started, get into stores, get it profitable, get money coming back, get consistent reorders. And then when you start stacking up some profits, then go out and look at whether buying your own license, starting it from scratch, or what I like to do is partner with other license holders, whether that be giving some kind of capital injection into their business, if it's a secure business that's performing well. And that way you let them handle operations, maintain the compliance, and you're just a silent investor. However, you reap the benefits of being an owner in that license. So if you don't have a license to operate off of and you're just doing strictly white label drop shipping method, you're gonna wanna get quality agreements in place. And this is both to protect your brands and yourself and your brand's entity, as well as protecting the manufacturer, the distributor, the cultivator, whoever's working with you to get your brand to market. And so this could be everything from product liability issues all the way out to compliance issues, tax issues, things with the state, etc. So having these agreements and contracts in place is very important. Do not overlook that. Do not try to cut corners on that. And a lot of times you're going to need a lawyer to at least review that contract. And obviously now we have ChatGPT. You can utilize that to help with contract reviews, but ultimately you're going to want a lawyer give it the final say on whether you should sign it or not and any changes you should make. Step two is to build your brand identity. And this is important because what happens, a lot of people will put a logo on some packaging and make a IG and call it a brand. And yes, technically it falls under the definition of a brand because you got a logo on some packaging and you're selling stuff, but a brand has so many more elements to it, even more than I can get into in this one video. A good example I like to use is building out your brand foundation, the fundamentals of the brand properly, is just as important as if you're building a house and you're making sure to have an architect draw out the blueprints, build it out to code, have the right inspections happen, have the right contractors that are licensed building it. And that's the equivalent of building out a brand properly versus just doing a logo, some packaging, an IG, maybe even a website. That's a quick do-it-yourself type of way. That's the equivalent of going down to Home Depot, picking up a bunch of 2x4s and some nails and a 12-pack of beer and coming back to the backyard with your buddy and just starting to nail boards together and be like, yeah, we're building a house. How do you think house A, with the architect, with the inspections, with the licensed contractors building it, versus you and your homie just picking up some wood and some nails and building it on the weekend? Whose house do you think is going to come out better? Whose house is going to last longer? Whose house is going to succeed? Whose house is actually going to be profitable when it goes to get sold? And I'm sure I don't have to spell it out. You see what I'm saying? If you build the brand properly from the start, create a plan, follow that plan, build it out exactly to plan, don't cut any corners, the chances of your brand succeeding profitably is exponentially higher than if you're to just try to slap together some product packaging, an IG, a logo, whip it up and just put it out there and start selling weed. It's not going to work as good. You're not going to have the longevity. Maybe you get some traction. I'm not saying that those type of brands won't work. They'll work, but you're going to hit a glass ceiling quick. And then what's going to happen next is you thinking that in order for you to get past that, you need to now start dropping hella marketing money or get some promo or some shout outs or do this, do that, do that. You're trying to put a Band-Aid on it when you didn't build out the brand properly from the beginning. So your foundation is cracked. You're having leaks, you're having issues. So the reason why building your brand foundation is so important from the beginning is because if you don't do it the right way, you're going to have issues later on, and you're not going to know that those issues are coming from your lack of your brand foundation because you don't even know what you don't know. So like I said, you're going to start throwing good money after bad money, trying to fix your lack of building the brand out properly. And now you're just going to waste more and more money, drive yourself crazy trying to see the success that you're expecting. However, it's never happening and you're wondering why. And it all stems back to not having your brand foundation built out properly. So I don't have time on this video to get into all the brand fundamentals. I'll do other components of that in future videos, but that's really what on my one-on-one guidance course, I walk you through every single step, make sure your brand is built out properly, robustly, and for success. It's built to last. So to touch on a few key things today on this video, it starts with defining your demographic, your target market, your niche. And you want that niche to be very direct. You don't want to try to appeal to everybody. When you try to appeal to everybody, you appeal to nobody. So by appealing to a set defined niche, you're able to speak directly to that niche. You know, what words they respond to, what they like, what they don't like, the problems they're having. You can speak to them. So understand your niche. The narrower the niche, especially in the beginning, the better. And once you get a narrow niche dialed in and figured out, then start expanding and start branching out to other niches. For example, with Zodix, for over 2.5 years, we've only done 4 strains of flower, and that was it. And I just started releasing hash rosin, solventless hash rosin, but only in limited drops at events. It's not even available in the stores yet. So as you see, as a brand, I only had 4 SKUs for over 2 years, and that worked perfectly. And I was just speaking to that demographic who cared about quality tasting flower, and that was it. Next is visual storytelling. This is very important today, both visual aspects as well as the storytelling aspects. And part of that comes from having your brand guidelines built out, your brand identity built out properly, and having a couple of designers on board. You want to have one key designer for your core brand development, and then you want to have another designer to take those components of the brand elements that your main designer made, and now you have your other designer be able to work more flexibly, not have bottlenecks. They can make flyers, menus, event announcements, marketing assets, etc. but your best designer is going to be doing all your brand assets. And then those brand assets can be replicated, not even replicated, but reused by your secondary designer to keep these new things coming out. So visual storytelling is super important. And just from my experience, it's important to have 2 quality designers, one for your branding and one for your daily marketing. And yes, you can cross use those, but be definitive on making sure you're not losing bandwidth by that. You want to have your core designer focus on all the important branding elements, and the other one focus on all your ongoing marketing stuff. Next is having an authentic voice. Don't just try to develop a brand because you think that's what the market wants. Have that brand be an extension of yourself, of your personality, be able to embody it, live that life that that brand is about. And that's where true authenticity comes through, the voice of the brands, partaking in the events, being there with the culture, shaking hands, face to face, talking to people. The way that the corporate brands mess this up is they just put money behind it. The heads of the brand are in some offices, just somewhere behind the scenes, just hiding behind a logo. And they just send out some random brand ambassadors that are just getting paid 20, 25 bucks an hour to represent the brands. And yeah, those brand ambassadors usually do a good job and they come out, but they can't represent the brand the same way the ownership would. And by having at least, whether you're a partner, an owner, sole owner, it doesn't matter, having a connection to, whether it be events, to your staff, to your customers, your demographic, your supporters, all this matters. It's very important. So be sure that you can live the lifestyle of your brand, that you can partake in these events, that you can travel, that you can be there with your brand. It makes a huge difference. Step 3, master digital marketing. And this has multiple facets to it. Obviously, social media marketing is a core aspect to it, but it's about diving deep into that, creating content pillars that you can continuously build upon. So whether that's behind the scenes, day in the life, launching a new product, showing the development of that product, showing the product development, the packaging development, the formulation, the production, the marketing, the launch. So much content that you can be documenting to put out. And having these different types of content pillars also are plugged into different types of platforms for certain things. So I've gone over this in other videos, but Instagram, you're going to want to focus on just pure organic growth, engaging with other accounts, supporting other accounts, and building your following organically. And this is with short form, reels, regular feed posts, carousel posts, and it's more smaller chunks of content easily consumed by your followers. Another platform, X. It's going to have also more short form content. You can also put long form, but it's more so bite-sized pieces, easily digestible. And on Twitter, the more polarizing you can be, the better. And that's going to repel people that aren't your supporters and attract the people that are your core supporters, that are diehard supporters for you. So be polarizing, stand up for what you believe in, speak on what you believe in, speak against what you don't believe in. And that's the easiest way to become polarizing. Some other content pillars would be education. Just like how I'm doing videos here, educating people, you can educate people about new products, about new product categories. Say, for instance, you could do a video about your brands. Maybe you're dropping gummies. Do some videos on microdosing, on why gummies give you a whole different type of effect than if you just smoke the weed. Why do gummies last longer? Why do they take longer for an onset? What's the benefits of edibles versus smokables? So these are all common questions that people don't understand, and they're going to continue not to understand. And there's plenty of people, even the ones that do understand it, for every one that understands, there's 10 or 20 more that don't understand. So even if you think some of this educational content might be old or people already know this stuff, there's still people that don't know it. So continue putting it out, put it out with quality, make educational stuff that can be tied back to your brand, whether that be product wise, market wise, on a macro scale. You know, the power of cannabis, the healing of cannabis, the potential of cannabis. All these things are educational stuff that your brand can dive into deep. And instead of going wide on things, pick some targets and go deep on them and educate your consumers about that. Another thing is entertainment. There's some people that are really good at making entertaining content. For instance, I just saw this hash brand where they're using, I believe they're using VO3. It's Google's new video generation, and it's funny as fuck. They're basically taking, I don't know if they really built it like this. I'm pretty sure they built the actual hash lab on a pontoon boat and they took it out in the river. And then they basically built upon that. And so they took VO3, which is Google's new AI video generation that includes audio. And they're making these news broadcasts where it's like these very serious people, you know, every types of walks of life. It can even be cops, like all these funny people. And they're just like, yeah, so these kids are driving this pontoon boat with a hash lab down the street. And they got this and that. And they're talking all these technical terms. And he's like, I wouldn't be surprised if blah, blah, blah. It's just hilarious how they're doing this. But it's entertaining. And they're doing it with AI. And it's just an ongoing theme that they're doing. So their cost of production is low. Their engagement is high. It's hilarious. And it's entertaining. So there's very unique ways as a brand you can create entertaining content as well as educational content, and even combine the two. And another component of your digital marketing is building a community. And you can build your community online digitally, but you also want to bridge that to the real life as well. And if you can show your community that you're putting on events, whether that be for wellness, whether that be for just entertainment, just a party, new strain drop, taste testing, pheno hunt, all these different reasons to have an event, a party, some sort of community gathering. Even though a lot of your community may be located digitally around the world, the ones that are local for that event can show up and you can showcase that lifestyle. You can document it. You can get interviews, ask people why they like your flower, why they came to the event, why they follow your brand, what about the brands, why they're in the cannabis industry, why they smoke cannabis. All these things, you can basically create an event. You're building your community. You're showing the rest of your followers that weren't able to make it what it is you do as a community in person. Now you're creating the desire for these other people that are seeing it just digitally. They want to partake next time. They want to be at your next event. They want to maybe even travel out. Or if you're going out somewhere, like next week, we're going to Germany. There's people out there that have been hitting us up, wanting to get into the after party. They want to make sure that we're going to have certain strains with us. I had one guy say, bro, make sure you bring enough because last year you sold out on the second day. So we have these external people that are watching us digitally and they want to be part of our community personally. So create that vibe, create that desire, and it continues to grow and it's going to be very powerful for you. So back to step 4, we want to dial in your supply chain. Make sure your cultivators and distributors that you're getting your flower from have that consistently and they have the price ranges you need. Target between $1,000 to $1,400 a pound. And that's going to leave you enough room for your packaging costs, your testing costs, your distro fees, your sales fees. Also leave a healthy budget left over for marketing and scaling up. So you want to make sure your prices are within the range you need to have them. The quality is there. The consistency is there. And more so, the ability for them to continuously provide this for you and work as a partnership and not yank it out from under you the next time someone else comes by and offers to pay more or demands the whole batch and leaves you hanging. So you need to make sure that you have those relationships in order. It's very important. Next component of this is inventory tracking. Even though you're not touching the plant, you're still responsible for the inventory of it. So the licensed supplier is going to have their own inventory tracking on their side, from cultivator to distributor to manufacturer to retail distributor to retail. They're going to be tracking all the inventory as any business would. However, you as the brand need to also keep track of the inventory on your side, from what you bought from the distro or cultivator, what got transferred to manufacturing, how many units of those got done, how many of those are transferred to your retail distributor. So you want to have your own record keeping on your side. And a good inventory management software that you can get for free is called Odoo, or a paid one that I've used for a while is Inflow. And Inflow is more so advanced level if you're doing drop shipping for THCA brand, like from your warehouse, you're doing direct to consumer. you're doing merchandise sales, you're keeping track of your marketing materials, a lot of ins and outs on your warehouse supply, let's say. Inflow might be better because you can scan, you can do QR codes, you can do RFID tags. Odoo also has abilities like this. Although with it being a free platform, it also has some limitations. Another great tool I've used for years is called Splitwise. And this comes into play when you have partners. And you basically program the Splitwise app, which partner is responsible for what percentage of any expenses. So let's say we're 70-30 partners. I'm responsible for 30%, you're responsible for 70%. It's the same sharing in profit. It's also the same sharing in expenses. So let's say I had to drop some money today and I paid $1,000 to pay this bill for the business, right? And I'm 30% partner, you're 70% partner. I plug in $1,000, Chris paid the bill today. It automatically calculates $300 of that goes towards me, $700 goes towards you, and then it balances who owes who what. So if you already owed me $1,000 and I paid $1,000 today, and that covered $700 for you, now you owe me $1,700. And so this app keeps track of that. And then when you pay me the $1,700, there's a button in there to reconcile and zero it out. And now we zero it out. Or maybe instead of paying money to me, you just cover the next $1,700 in expenses. And when you log those in, it's going to even it out with me. So the idea is to always keep your balances at zero, and it helps show who should pay the next expense. And so Splitwise has been an amazing app for any of the partnerships I've had. And then the other component to having your supply chain set up is your retail distributor. So after all the packaging is done, it goes to the retail distributor. Your retail distributor is the one that delivers all that inventory to the retail stores. So you as a brand, you're focused on branding, marketing, and most likely sales, where you're either handling your sales or working closely with a sales team to get the orders to the retailers. When those orders are placed with the retailers, that gets logged into the distro software. The distro now knows what order to bring to what store for how much. That distro is also going to invoice them. That distro is also going to do accounts receivable and collect the payment from them, whether that's upfront or later on at a later date if you're doing net terms. So that distro is important. And as a white label brand, as a drop shipping style brand, the other big benefit to this for you is you don't have to handle all these logistics. You're not going out packaging the flour, weighing it out, you and your team directly. You're not organizing that. You're not having to go do all the final deliveries yourself. You're not having to do hand-to-hand sales yourself. It's a blanket approach and it's a team approach. And so that's why this is so powerful, because you can scale this exponentially. Step 5 is to scale. So once you get your supply chain dialed in, now it's time to crank up the volume. And good ways to do this are with different marketing styles. And we've gone over this in many, many different videos I've done. Even earlier in this video, we touched on it. So as a brand, you really want to lean heavy into your merchandise, your t-shirts, hats, collectible items, limited edition items. And these are things that you can all sell direct to consumer, because as shirts, as hats, as stickers, as any other merchandise, you don't need a license to sell that other than a business license and pay your regular business taxes. So you want to do this direct to consumer, really scale up your marketing efforts, even running ads on your t-shirts, running ads on your hats, on your rolling trays, your smoking accessories, keychains, whatever. So drive traffic into your ecosystem in ways that you can, and then convert them to also trying out your other offerings, such as flower, vapes, pre-rolls, whatever it may be that you have. As well as if you're leveraging THCA component, which is separate from the cannabis side. So if you're doing a white label drop shipping on licensed cannabis, say in California or New York, that's going to be different than if you're doing a THCA component that you're drop shipping online direct to consumer. So if you're doing a heavy direct to consumer push on your merchandise, on your t-shirts, running ads, etc., you can combine that and double back to your THCA website and also get some of that traffic purchasing your THCA products, getting them direct to consumer. And so this is a really powerful system because it allows you as a brand to operate in the licensed cannabis sectors, such as in the key markets you want to be in, California and New York especially. And then it also allows you to partake in the hemp side of things with the THCA market and hit those states that do allow THCA but don't allow licensed cannabis. And so this is a patchwork approach on how to scale your brands nationally and even internationally, because under these THCA laws and hemp laws, there's certain countries that you can get your brand and your products compliantly into. So I have other great videos about doing the THCA component of your brands, how to drop ship that, how to do direct to consumer, how to get the supply chain set up. And if you need additional help with that, I have a one-on-one guidance program. The link is below. And that's where I walk you through the whole steps, figure out what you need, what you don't need, where you're at with your brand. If you need your brand rebuilt, redesigned, designed from scratch, you need logos, packagings, brand guidelines, brand vision, brand voice, brand positioning, brand heritage, brand architecture. All these things are components plus more. There's a lot more to it. We can build out the entire thing for you. Or if you feel confident in your build out, we can just set you up with the supply chain connections, build out your white label supply chain for you in either California or New York, and then also get it into retail store shelves for you and train you on how to run it, how to scale it, how to market it, how to manage it properly. So if that's something you're interested as well, click the link below. All the info's there, and I appreciate the support on all these videos. I'm getting a lot of great feedback that they're helping people. They're helping people to understand the possibilities with their brand, what they can do, how to do it. And the whole purpose of all this free content is so that us as independent brands can take back market share from the corporate brands, and we can actually build this industry the way we want to build it, the way we want to create it, and not just be having to follow the lead of the corporate people. So let's build this industry the way we want, keep the culture alive, keep things moving, and let's make some money while we're doing it, and give our supporters a good time, give them some good brands to interact with. So thanks for watching. Check out my other videos and subscribe to the channel.